All right, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you right back to another episode of the Gafford and Brown Show. I'm Lamar Gafford.
I'm Robert Brown.
And guess what, Rob? We are now
What's
at
going
20
on?
episodes. We are now at 20 episodes, man.
Wow.
So once again, thanks to all the fans and all that for that. We have a pretty big show today and so little time to really cover everything. We have to talk about, of course, the NBA, the NFL, and baseball opening day is back. But right now our focus is about the tournament. We got ourselves our Final Four is all set. Louisville's in there, Wichita State's in there, and you also got Michigan and Syracuse. But first of all, I think everybody really wants to talk about is about this Louisville team. They're so dominant, and they get into the Final Four by beating Duke in a game that really wasn't that close. What are your thoughts about Louisville, and do you think they can get into the Final Four? I mean, win the whole thing?
Oh yeah, Louisville. From what I've seen, as far as even our brackets in our group and other brackets, the majority of the people had Louisville winning the whole thing. So
Mhm.
really not surprised with them being in the Final Four. I picked Louisville to go to the Final Four, picked them to beat Duke.
Mhm.
And I'm a Duke fan, so it's not surprising to me at all. And I think the whole surprise right now, what has people, kind of shocked is Wichita State. Now, I mean, people had Wichita State, getting into this game in the Final Four. So, I say as far as Louisville being there, it's business as usual.
Mhm. And I really have to agree on that one because not too many people really thought about Wichita State. They probably had them winning one game, maybe two games and stuff, given the whole thing, but not going to the Final Four, to be honest. And to see right now that they've done that, and to also see that, it actually gives the Missouri Valley Conference, which they're in, a little bit more credibility of having the Final Four team. That's just exciting on that one. Now they're gonna have pretty much their hands full against Louisville because, like I said, this Louisville team really does look like of all the four teams that make it that are in Atlanta right now, they are the best team out there that's available.
Right. And now, I want to ask you, how surprised are you that Michigan is in this thing? Because Michigan's a team, it's not like Wichita State, they're a high-profile team, of course, but a lot of people didn't have faith in this Michigan squad to make it this far. Are you surprised?
I'm very surprised about this one. I actually had Michigan going out in the second round against VCU because from looking at them, I saw that they had a couple of bad, bad losses during the season here and there, but you also got to look at it like this too. They were pretty tested in the Big Ten this year. I mean, this is a team which was in the top 10 in most of the years, but yet they finished fifth in their conference. So they were battle tested, and I think that helped them out along the way by them winning their games, especially against Kansas and also especially against Florida too.
Right. That Kansas game, in my opinion, was the best game I've seen this tournament. I mean, you have, two programs, one program being, Harold is Kansas,
Mhm.
and then they game going to overtime. Kansas pretty much, a lot of people gave that game away.
Right.
Great game though. Now, what do you feel about the Michigan matchup with Syracuse?
Oh, this is gonna be a very good one because we're going to see what can Michigan do against the zone that Syracuse really has. And to be honest with you too, Syracuse really surprised me as well because I didn't pick them to go this far, but yeah, here they are right now. I really think of whoever gets the upper hand early is probably going to have the better advantage in this one. And I think if you were to ask me to pick about this game right now, I probably would go with Michigan because I feel like that. I think that they can probably make it right now to the final, into the national championship game. How about you?
This is difficult, but I don't think I can look as much as Corey Williams right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a team Syracuse. I think that zone has proven to be effective. You saw they did against Indiana, against Marquette. I think Syracuse is going to neutralize Harwood. I think they're going to be able to pull off a win. Honestly, right now, I see the East matchup all over again. I think it's going to be Louisville versus Syracuse.
Oh my goodness, and that's gonna actually be a pretty good one because we've seen how these two teams have actually played against each other this season, where Louisville defeated Syracuse in I think the Big East championship game, and then I think during the season, I think Syracuse had the upper hand in the regular season, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So that would be a very good matchup in that one too, and you know. I think all the way around here, this Final Four we got ourselves a very good storyline here, and all that. Now, one of the things I really want to talk about too is from Louisville's standpoint. I really hope that they are going to be inspired because I saw an injury happen to Kevin Ware, and a lot of people, if you've already seen the picture of it. You can really tell that this is one of those injuries that you kind of don't want to look that you don't want to look at because the guy had broke his leg and even the bone is like pierced from his skin and stuff, and it's just all over gruesome.
Yeah, that sounds pretty gruesome. I haven't yet seen the actual injuries, but just from you describing it sounds pretty gruesome.
Yeah, definitely it is, and. Like I say, once again, it's just all his prayers will go out. Our prayers go out to him, and that's when. And Rick Pitino had said it himself that, the injury was so bad, and that he was probably going to have to miss next year more definitely because of the severity of the whole thing. Kind of like the Michael Bush injury he said too, but. It just reminds me of you're seeing some of these different injuries that you've seen during in sports, and this just was one of those things that you just don't want to ever see again and all that. But some people had even compared it to maybe like the Sean Livingston injury that when he was with the Clippers. So that it's just all the way over. I just hope he can make a speedy recovery in this.
Right.
Now, let's also talk about the whole tournament as a whole. And you said about the Kansas-Michigan game, that was a very good one. Has there been any other games this season that during this tournament that has stood out to you, Rob?
Honestly, not really. Not really. I haven't been blown away by any games. I just haven't been, I haven't really seen that much tourney magic, like we usually see. I mean, Florida Gulf Coast was a good story, but that ended, in the Florida game. By far, I think that Michigan-Kansas game by far was the best because I think it had the most excitement, overtime. I felt engaged the whole game. Everything else has been kind of, almost, I don't want to say predictable, but, we kind of had a feeling Louisville would make it this far. Duke was one of those teams people knew would go far, but you had a feeling it wouldn't make it to the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
And Michigan State matchup was interesting, but, when the game actually happened, Duke pretty much had the ball. And you look around, you had the upsets, Miami getting put out, you had it up to, but it was something that just, I don't know. I didn't really feel any magic really this year. Maybe it's just me. What about you, Lamar?
I think everything was just pretty much the status quo. Like, you had your Cinderella team, and that was Florida Gulf Coast. You had your near upsets, of course, with Gonzaga being down early. You also had your predictable strong teams just like Louisville and stuff. And Clarence also says here on Twitter, he says, "Screw this tournament," says my bracket. And I think, and that's another thing that I really want to also say about it, because I think this tournament had been a little bit unpredictable, and seeing this, seeing how my bracket really looks, it's kind of not looking too good either. And so my sentiments is right there with you too on that one, because man, it's not looking pretty good for a lot of people that predicted a lot of things. But at least we did get the champions right, and at least we did think we got the most of the gist of the whole thing though too. So at least you can kind of say
I think
that.
what hurt a lot of brackets was the fact that a lot of people tried to pick upsets that really didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for one, I had Davidson over Marquette. I think Davidson was like 14. I had, oh, the other upset I think I had New Mexico winning. They didn't. I think I had Bucknell and Belmont winning. I had Minnesota going to the Final Four.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to look for upsets, things like that. But it's just the way it goes. Next year, you're gonna look at the same bracket. I mean, you're gonna look at the bracket. You're gonna try to pick the upsets. You're gonna try to see who goes with. A lot of times, we'll see. It's a lot of business as usual. When it comes to the title game sometimes.
Right. Now let's go ahead and shift our focus to the women's game, because right now they're in their Elite Eight, but I saw a game last night which really shocked everybody. Baylor, this was a team that had won, I think 74 of 75 games, or 75 or 76. They went ahead, they played against Louisville, and not too many people gave Louisville's women's team a chance in this one, but they came away with a win, 82-81, and this ends Brittany Griner's season. But right now, knowing that we're not maybe as knowledgeable about the women's game as we are about the men's game, I think we had talked about this over the phone, but do you think that it's still watchable right now, and how do you feel about the parity that's happening in the women's game?
Well, the thing about the women's game is we watch the women's game more so for a select group of teams.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it used to be Tennessee, UConn, Stanford used to have a good program. We really watch women's game for the schools, the certain stars they make, like the Maya Moore, the Sue Bird, the Ann Taurasi, the Candace Parker, Elena Beards of the game. And, with Brittany Griner, she's a big name. She's the biggest name in college basketball right now. And for her not to be there, it's going to lose. I think you're going to lose some national attention. But, you still got Skylar Diggins. I think UConn is still in the tournament.
Right.
You still have some appeal, But, it's something I think people are still going to watch, but not like the men's tournament, and I don't think the national coverage will be as big as say last year.
And yeah, that's the thing too. And I no disrespect, of course, but that's just pretty much, that's kind of a little bit about I guess it's kind of the nature of the beast of the whole thing too. And obviously losing Brittany Griner was kind of like the big blow of this whole thing, because many people really want to see how was she going to be able to do. Could she win her second national championship? Because she did it last year. When you think about college basketball, women's, especially in the women's side, you're thinking about Brittany Griner, because she's the most dominant player in this game right now, and she's going to be the #1 pick in the WNBA draft. So to see that upset, it kind of is going to hurt the appeal a little bit. But I feel like that you still have some teams that can still, salvage everything. Like you said, Skylar Diggins is still in the tournament. Maybe she can get to the finals again this season, and try to at least make sure that the third time's the charm this time around. You have UConn, they're still there. Tennessee is actually still hanging in there in the first year of after Pat Summitt is gone. So that's another thing right there. So I think you still have some star power, maybe not a lot of star power, but it still can be salvageable for the casual fan, and also maybe the hardcore fan of the women's game as well.
Yeah, Yeah, and like the women's game in college is easy to sell in the WNBA because you have tradition, you have the university, you have the coaches, like at Summit, who stepped down, but you had those personalities there, Baylor's coach, UConn's coach, you have those names, basically brands. In the WNBA, even though it's, a decade plus older, you still don't have that same feeling. You still don't have that same star power yet and that same tradition and brand with some of those teams. Like you do in the college game.
And that's just the thing right there too. Like you said, you still have your blue-blooded teams here, and actually, to be honest with you, I really hope that maybe we might can see a Tennessee UConn game because I feel like we're kind of overdue for it. But I know that might have lost a little bit of its luster because you don't have Gina Auriemma. Well, you do have Gina Auriemma, but you don't have Pat Summitt anymore too, and you just that's just one of those games that a lot of people really want to see. I think you still have some decent teams there, but like we said, it's just you kind of lose a little bit. I really would have also loved to see Elena Deladon of Delaware actually do some well, but it's just the thing here, and like I agree with your clearance too about this. It won't be the same seeing that UConn Tennessee matchup. It just won't be the same. But like you said again, it's just. I guess there is a little bit more parity now in the women's college game. So there it is right there. So we're also, let's see, and pretty much right now we do have some more of these games that's going on. I think we have 2 games tonight, especially with UConn playing against Kentucky tonight and Georgia playing against California tonight in the women's side. And while Louisville and Tennessee will play against each other tomorrow, and Notre Dame and Duke will play against each other as well. So those games will be very interesting to see right there. And maybe we'll see who gets a chance to go to New Orleans for the Final Four. And it seems like New Orleans actually is becoming the hotbed for a lot of events right now.
Oh yeah, that's one thing. I think we talked about, or I read recently that New Orleans is just booming now because you had the Super Bowl last year. You have the All-Star game there as well next year, and WrestleMania 30, along with this year's women's Final Four. So, like you said, it's a hotbed for a lot of sports activities and entertainment, and that's great to see for the state. It's great for New Orleans. As far as still rebuilding. And, coming together after Hurricane Katrina, which is almost, 10 years old, you can see, the rebuild effort and just the growth of the city and the perseverance of the team. It's great to see.
Yeah, and I am so glad about that too. And I know one of these days we might have to try to get somebody from New Orleans just to talk about the whole thing, because I'm so glad that at least we get a chance to get some of these events here. And because once again, it drives everything, and it does pretty well for everything. So, it's nice to see the city booming, and you get these events here. It makes revenue and all that stuff. So that's always good, and that's always good to see. So we're gonna go ahead, take ourselves a 30-second break. We're gonna go right back, and we're pretty much gonna talk about a little bit about, let's say, the NBA playoff race right away. So we're almost getting there. We're like 3 weeks away from the playoffs. So we're gonna talk about that. We'll be right back with the Gafford and Brown Show in 30 seconds.
I think it was Friday night. It was the Spurs game. Man, it was a great game. It went to no, it didn't go to overtime. But Tim Duncan, man, put up some huge numbers. I think he hit the game-winning shot. He hit the old school three-point play.
Oh man.
It was pretty good, man. I think you might want to pull those stats because he was playing like it was 2001.
I definitely will. And we are right back here with the show. basically right now we're going to talk about the NBA here, and once again the playoff race is starting to crystallize and everything. A lot of people was talking about this game that happened last night. It could be a possible playoff preview, possible finals preview between the Heat and the Spurs. The Heat won 88-86. But those that everybody know here, Eric Spoelstra kind of pulled a Greg Popovich by pulling out LeBron and Dwayne Wade and I think Mario Chalmers in this game, just because they had a little bit of an injury. But that still was not too bad here, as the Heat think they won by a late three-pointer by I think Chris Bosh in that one. 88-86. What do you think about this game, and do you think that these two teams are probably gonna, what do you think about the decision that that Eric Spoelstra kind of sat out LeBron and Wade? Do you think you make a big deal out of it or not such a big deal out of it?
A little bit, because we look back at that, the last time these two teams played, now correct me if I'm wrong, the last time these two teams played, looking at the game where probably said Parker, Ginobili, and Duncan.
Yep, that was it.
And I think this might have been a little, a little rebuttal, a little, hey, you said your guys, I will say my guys. And you look at it, the Heat still won. It's a game where I was glad that Chris Bosh got the shot, because a lot of people, we tend to forget about Chris Bosh. This was a guy that had his own team when he was with the Toronto Raptors and, led that squad to the playoffs with very little help. And he was also an all-star, this guy is pretty good. So, I'm glad that game got to showcase, Bosh and, his ability to take over a game. And, it's just, I don't know if we can say finals preview yet. It would be a great series to watch. But right now, I think San Antonio definitely has the hardest road to the finals. Because, I think Ginobili, he's out 3 or 4 weeks. And, Tony Parker's still recovering from that ankle injury.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think, they're deep and they're very well coached, of course, and they play well, but the Spurs still have a hard road. You still have OKC, you still have the Clippers, you still have Denver. I think if they got the first round matchup against the Lakers, they could go 7. But we don't even know if the Lakers can make the playoffs right now because, just looking at the seeding and whatnot. But definitely, it would be a great finals. It would be great for the league to see, Tim Duncan is, kind of old school Spurs go against, the Heat, the team of the moment. It would be fun to watch. It would definitely help the Heat's legacy, for beating, such an accomplished player and coach in Tim Duncan and Greg Popovich. But I just think the Spurs have such a hard road, and we haven't seen the Spurs in the finals since, 2007?
Yeah.
Their playoff look hasn't been great lately, so I don't know. I don't think they're a lock, as some people have. Now, the Heat, I hate to say this, but right now, I don't see anybody standing in front of them. We have our debates on Tonga, but who's going to stop them? Right now, they look almost invincible. So that's something that we have consider, just Miami's dominance right now. We talked about them not being able to break that last streak. Break the Lakers streak from the Heat. It seems like they're starting a new one. But I just think right now, Miami is more of a lock to be in the finals than the Spurs. So I don't know about the preview. What are your thoughts about the Spurs and Heat possibly meeting in the finals in last night's game?
Well, about them meeting in the finals, I kind of share the same sentiments as you. I feel like that it might be. Of course, we know that the Heat are going to make it into there, because I feel like their road is going to be a whole lot easier. You could tell right now that their first round matchup is going to be against Milwaukee. Got that one. Their second round matchup could be either against Brooklyn or Chicago. Could be a tough matchup right there, but I feel like they got this one. But, obviously, of all the playoff teams that you probably can see in the East right now, Miami I would pretty much say that it would be a very big shock if Miami does not make it to the finals. But there are some teams that could give them a little bit of, huh? Oh, there could be some teams that could actually give them a little bit of a tough time into the playoffs. But yet, then again, there might not be. So, of course, we got that. If you look at it from San Antonio's aspect, though, too, we look at it from San Antonio's aspect, though, too, their road is going to be a little bit harder. And, of course, if they get the tough first-round matchup against the Lakers or Dallas, of course, that's going to be tough right there. And so you know that their second-round matchup is going to be pretty tough. So who's to really say they could make it out of the West? Now, as far as the game last night, I would say, you know, like you said, it was a pretty good chance to get a chance to showcase what Bosh can do. He had 23 and 9. He had the game-winning three-pointer, and he also he had a big three in the latter stages of the game. And also, I just felt like I would not make such a big deal out of really him sitting out his guys, because in a way I can kind of see his strategy, and I know it might tick off the fans a little bit, but it's strategy though too. So.
Right. Now, looking at the playoff race still, the Dallas Mavericks still on the hunt. How are you liking their chances to take the 8 seed?
Woo! Yeah, I was one of those people that actually said that I felt like that this team was going to be dead, but they have shown a whole lot. And by the way, Rob, I think Clarence had also said about you. He says if the Spurs can be healthy, then yes, he feels like they can make it to the finals. And he's told you that this is an odd year. But about the Mavericks, I felt like here. I thought they were going to be dead. They're still 1.5 games out. I still think that they still have a chance. These next few games are going to be pretty interesting because they do have I think they have the Lakers tomorrow. So if they win that game, they get the 500, and they actually pull themselves a little bit closer to the matchup right here. So this is still going to be interesting. What do you think about their chances, Rob?
I think they have a real legit chance. I mean, looks like the no shade thing's working. I think they would match up well with the Spurs. I think they can take the Spurs to 6, maybe 7. I can't see them beating the Spurs. But I definitely like the odds of making playoffs right now because you got the Lakers who are about to hit a hard stretch of games. Mm-hmm. And they are limping. I mean, Steve Nash, they hit Kobe in the ankle. You know, Dwight still has his long laundry list of injuries. They look to be as if they're running out of gas. And that's why Dallas was them taking the spot because Dirk is still able to, you know, put up solid games. Still got O.J. Mayo, Vince Carter, who I can't say enough of, has played tremendously for Dallas this year. I mean, coming off the bench and breathe new life in his career, it seems like he seemed to take their role in stride, and he's been doing wonders. He's had a great season, by the way. I would put his name in contention for 6th man of the year, even though he probably won't win it, but you know.
Right.
And I like the odds. Do I have them as a lock? No, but I like the chances of making it.
And I pretty much have to agree because looking at the 3 teams, well, you could probably the 3 teams right now that are competing for the 8th seed. I don't have a lot of faith in Utah making it because I feel like that there's nothing that really surprises me about them. And actually, I feel like if they do make it, they're probably going to get swept like they did last year. The Lakers, you saw that the Lakers were they looked like they were about to pull away and get that 8th seed, but yet they still have some things going on with them. I think Dallas is actually surging, and they're trying to surge at the right time, and they're still trying to salvage something right there, and it's still a good chance that they could make it. Clarence had also said they might make it. And he says he feels like the Lakers might fold. I feel you on that one. And if they beat LA, they're actually going to get I think they're actually going to get the tie for the season series. So I think it's going to come down to who has the better conference record, and at this time it would be the Lakers. But I feel like they still have a good shot to probably try to make it, and I would love to see them make it actually.
Yeah. Now, do you think right now, what are the odds you think you take them if they do make it against San Antonio?
The chances that I would probably give them, I think it could go actually 6 or 7. Would I say they would win? The fan of me says yes. The real live analyst that has no biased opinion would probably say no. I really like this. I think the Spurs have everything, but I think they can make a series out of it? Yes, I feel like that's possible. How about you?
I think you can do 6 games. I don't see Dallas winning, but I think they can make it competitive at least.
So yeah, that's at least that right there. I think as before we were talking about on the show too, you were speaking of the Spurs, you was talking about Tim Duncan's performance that he had against the Clippers. The Spurs beat the Clippers in that game 104-102. Tim Duncan looked like he turned back the clock in this one. 34 points, 11 rebounds, but he had a late three-pointer, that three-point play that actually helped him out on that one. It seems like Duncan continues to get better. It looks with age, and it's like one of those things that you still have to appreciate what he does.
Oh yeah, definitely. Tim Duncan is just a constant professional. He's a guy that he knows that this isn't necessarily his team per se anymore. But he's comfortable with that role. He's lost weight. He's taking great care of his body. And he's more concerned about not his stats or numbers. I don't think he's really a numbers guy. But he's more concerned about what he can contribute now. He knows he doesn't have to take over a game, but he's comfortable with that. But there are times like that Clippers game where he gets in the zone and he puts up great games. He's still the glass doctor. Still able to knock that 20-foot out of the glass. Still able to rebound. Still able to defend. Not as good as he once was, but that's just time. But yeah, Tim Duncan is something special. I think he's one of the most unappreciated NBA superstars ever. The greatest power forward ever. You just gotta love Tim Duncan's game, especially right now.
Yeah, and it really is because we remembered last year where he did not go to the All-Star game, and you kind of thought that it was going to be a little bit of the beginning of the end of the era right here. But to see him bounce back and do all this, it's just again amazing to see what he has been doing so far this year. And looking at his stat line this season, he's putting up 17.6 points, 10 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks per game. And it's like he's turning back the clock really in this one. And of a guy that's already has had a pretty illustrious career, and you pretty much can say that he's going to whenever he gets ready to retire, he's going to be, if not the best power forward, he's going to be considered as one of the best. And it's just always amazing to see him do all of this. And again, I just really appreciate him because looking at the wars that he's always had against my Mavs, he's just one of those guys that always continues to give day in and day out the true professional and all that.
Yeah, and I just really like the way he settled into the role. A lot of some players have a hard time with it, but Tim Duncan is doing it, gracefully.
Right, exactly. So, you have that one right there, and so it's just once again it's amazing here. Now going into the next couple of days games here, we have some big ones still. The Spurs have the Grizzlies tonight, in which that should be a very good game. on NBA TV. Looking at another NBA TV game here. The Pacers are going to play against the Clippers. That game is going to be in LA. We will see what's to make of that game right there. That should be a good one. And actually tomorrow, we might only have 3 games, but yet we still have some good ones here too. The Knicks and the Heat play against each other in the finale of that season series in Miami on TNT. And the nightcap of that game, of that series, a big game for the 8th seed, as we said earlier, Mavericks and Lakers. Expect that one to once again become a very interesting game, which in I think the 3 games of that series before, the road team has actually won, and Dallas is actually on the road this time. So we'll see, can they tie up the season series, or could the Lakers take that one? So, that's going to be a pretty interesting one right there as well. And looking at the playoff race right now, you still have Miami at 1, New York at 2, Indiana at 3, Brooklyn at 4, Chicago at 5, Atlanta at 6, Boston at 7, and Milwaukee at 8 in the East. And currently you have San Antonio at 1, OKC at 2, Denver at 3, Clippers at 4, Memphis at 5, Golden State at 6, 7 is Houston, and 8 Utah. So we still have ourselves 3 weeks to go in this one. So it's still going to be pretty epic. We still got ourselves some great basketball being played. And of course, when it comes down to these playoff races, it always comes down to the last day, and that's always important too. So we're pretty much going to go ahead and take ourselves another break right now. We're going to get ready to talk ourselves a little bit about baseball. Baseball is back, Rob. How about that? How are you feeling about that one?
Man, with this weather, it's perfect time for baseball.
Yes, sir.
First in the mud, birds out chirping, it's sunny, not too hot, not too cool. Perfect time for baseball.
Well, we're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about that once we come right back. We might give ourselves a little bit of predictions. We actually had a game last night. We'll talk about that. This is the Gafford and Brown Show. We'll be right back in 30 seconds. Right now, we're pretty much, it's about that time. Sun is shining around many places. Many people are playing ball right now. So we actually had the opening night began last night, where we saw the Houston Astros shockingly here won in their first 4-way in the American League. They're now in the American League West. Played against their cross-state rivals, the Texas Rangers, and they won the game 8-2. And actually, I was pretty shocked about that one too. But looking at the Astros right here, jumping leagues is probably going to be a little bit of a different change. It's going to be a change of atmosphere for them. What do you think about that one, Rob?
Well, I think it's going to be a bit of a kind of a monkey wrench, kind of like I don't know. I don't know. I have to ask you what you think about that first, because you have to give me a moment with that one.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and probably say that once they got actually, I think because the reason why that they have shifted it into the different leagues is because of the new ownership, and I think it was kind of one of the things that they had to kind of agree with about the MLB, and I kind of wish that they weren't the team that went into the AL, but then again, I can understand why they did it. It's a young team that they have down there in Houston. We know that over the past couple of years, when they were in the National League Central, they had lost 100 games both years, and to see this, that you got a young team out there playing like this, I kind of I don't like them being in the American League, because now they have to play against teams like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Rays, the Angels, those heavy hitter teams right there a little bit more than what they have been accustomed to. And they're gonna really take their lumps on this one, I feel like. And it was good though that they could open up their thing about the with a victory last night. Didn't get a chance to see too much of the game, but it was a little bit right there to give them something to might maybe hope for in the future. In the future, I think they'll be good, but I think this year they're pretty much going to take their. It's going to be a little bit of share of their growing pains right there.
Yeah, and what do you think about those logos? The new logo for the Astros.
It's a little bit of a classic feel to it. For those that don't know, I mean, they brought back the H with the star on there, and I think it's a little bit of a retro feel to it. I like them. I don't have any bad things about them to say about them. So I like them a whole lot. What about you?
I agree with you saying when they have the older field. Kind of got a little minor league feel to it too. But maybe it takes some getting used to.
Yeah, that too, and I think that's how it's always going to be with you're always going to have some people that's not. It's going to take a while to really get used to it, and it's going to take a while to get used because you've seen how they looked and all that stuff in the past, and of course, like I know they wanted to try to change their identity, so that's another thing too. So but right now we pretty much got opening day here. And we actually got a few games that are going on right now on ESPN. The Red Sox are playing against the Yankees, and the Red Sox are leading 4-2. I think it's so good. Also, this game is also on WGN. The Cubs and the Pirates, and I think that is on WGN. Cubs and the Pirates. The Cubs are leading the Pirates 2-0. But we also got ourselves, and also the Nationals are leading the Marlins 2-0. Bryce Harper hit a home run on the second pitch that he saw of the season, so that's just amazing there too. And he's actually got 2 home runs this season, so he's showing that there's no sophomore slump in this one.
Right, and I'm really interested in seeing how they perform throughout the season. And seeing if they can get, more wins than last year. I'm also interested to see how Miami's going to do because I don't know, but they seem that the payroll and they might be one of those teams with the Marlins, one of those teams where they feel like every time they have a good team with a good nucleus, they give almost the whole roster.
Yeah, and that's kind of unfortunate because once again we've seen seen that happen. I think both of their World Series runs, '97. And in 2003, he won the World Series. Next thing you know, they had a fire sale, and it looked like they were almost going to have that team last year, and it didn't happen the way it was supposed to happen, and all that. And I guess right now they're going to get ready to try to build from scratch once again. I just would hope that one of these days they would, they wouldn't do something like that, but I just wonder if is it really the nature to be honest with you.
Right, and that's the way you started seeing. Now, also when we talk about teams with big payroll, not Anaheim, but the Angels have, one of the most, largest payrolls now thanks to their contract pool picked up last year and now with Josh Hamilton. How do you think they're going to fare this season? Do you think all this money that they're spending is going to be worth it come fall?
I think it's going to be because I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to they're trying to showcase themselves as the team in LA. Because you saw how I think them and the Dodgers actually had themselves a pretty decent off seasons where they signed some key players and stuff. The other thing I would just look for is you can't really throw, as you always said before, you can't really throw money at all your problems too, and that's the other thing. So it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how they do. I think they can make it to the playoffs this year because they saw how last year That did not go well, and I think the pride of this year, but they got a good team around them. Pujols, Josh Hamilton, Mike Trout. So you got that right there. And Clarence said it better work.
It better work because, you pay Pujols all this money. Really, he had a major performance in the World Series before, he signed that contract. But at the same time, the dude's in his 30s.
Mm-hmm.
He can only give you so much for so long. So, I don't know. If you want to break the bank, go ahead. But hey, make sure you make sure you know what you're getting into. Because if that story, if we ever get Albert Pujols to juice it, and you put all this money in this guy, he's in his 30s,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have some egg on your face.
Exactly, and exactly that's just how it's going to be too. Because we all know what Albert Pujols has done over this past decade. He's been one of the best players, if not the best player, in the in Major League, in all of Major League Baseball. Because this is a guy that has 300, that bats for 300, that can actually get you about 40 home runs, and that can get you about 100 RBI in a season. So we know what he's capable of. But just like everybody else, he's getting older, and that's another thing too. And I can always remember what Charles Barkley said: Father Time is always undefeated. Like you can never beat Father Time. And there's gonna come to be a point in time where your body's gonna break down. So I see where you're going from in that one too.
Yeah, and let's hope the Josh Hamilton experiment works as well. And I don't know. We'll see what the Yankees do this year. Hopefully it works out. And Josh Hamilton's going to have a lot of questions to answer when they play Texas this upcoming week. This week. So.
Right. And so we're going to continue. I think we actually had somebody. And speaking of breaking the bank too, we actually had somebody else that broke the bank. Elvis Andrus of the Texas Rangers. I think he got himself an 8-year, $120 million deal. And once again, it just makes me feel like I should have been playing. I should have kept on playing baseball.
Somebody had to get that money. Josh Hamilton left, so somebody had to get paid.
Oh, exactly, man. Exactly. Now, speaking of another person with big money here too, we continue to talk about Alex Rodriguez. He says he's calling his return. He said on Yahoo Sports, he calls the return a great challenge. Do you think? I just want to ask you about this one. Do you think he's still gonna? Is he still the player that we seen of him to be and all that, or is he starting to break down right now and stuff?
A-Rod hasn't been that good for a while, and one of the crazy things about it is, he used to get so much criticism, and a lot of it seemed almost unfair. But now you consider the fact that, one, he's been using steroids, two, the guy's just not that likable, and then three, he kind of comes off as a dick. So it's like, you kind of don't feel that bad for him anymore. And, I hope he comes back from his injury, but I think the Yankee team is going to do all right without him. I think if I'm the Yankees, this is one thing I've never liked about the Yankees. Instead of rebuilding, the Yankees have always retooled.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees have always felt as if we're the Yankees, so we don't have to rebuild. We'll just get whatever big free agent is out there and sign them, and sign a couple other guys, and then you know what, we'll be back in the World Series. Well, that hasn't really worked out like they thought it would. The Yankees have been, up and down for a while now. I just don't see A-Rod being what he once was. I don't think he's worth that huge payroll anymore. It's time to move on. If I'm a Yankee owner, I would have moved over there Jeter. I mean, don't get me wrong. Jeter is a great guy. He's one of the greatest Yankees, like the last, 20 years, 15 years. He's been Mr. Yankee, but it's time to move on. You have to going over somewhere. I would have told him, hey, you don't want this deal? You know what? You can play somewhere else there. We love you, but hey.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's just the business. That's just the way it goes. But you wish he ride the best, but the guy, he kind of digs his own. He dug his own grave.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because of course we've seen him. He got one of those mega deals way back in 2001 when he was with the Rangers. That 10-year, $252 million deal. Then he got traded, and then it was like he got even a bigger deal with the Yankees that was almost up to I think it was like almost $300 million or something like that. But it was still a 10-year deal. So you got that, and again, that I know we got yourself your mega deals and stuff, but nobody's really worth that much of money. And you also got to look into this too, that once you get past like 30 years old, and that's just in all sports too, your body starts to break down and all that stuff, and you're pretty much gonna walk around here with egg on your face whenever you have, like, you're paying somebody $30 million, and yet they're 38 years old and they can't do the things that they used to do when they were 28. So that's another thing too.
Yeah, and A-Rod is a guy who, with all this going on, you feel a little bit bad for him, even though, like I said earlier, you kind of don't want to feel bad, but this is a guy that was supposed to change the game. He's supposed to have, like, A-Rod, how many MVPs A-Rod was projected to have during, like, his prime, would you say?
Ooh, projected? Or has he?
Yeah, or projected.
Projected, I probably would say around maybe that 3, 4, 5 range, probably, because...
Right. And in reality, he has, what, maybe 1?
I would think so. I'm looking it up right now, actually. So, but... yeah, I do see what you're saying too, because this is a guy here that, of course we know that sometimes he succumbed under the pressure and all this stuff. And I remember when we were talking about, actually he's had 3.
Okay.
He's had 3. One in 2003, another one in 2005, and another one in 2007. So there's that.
But this is a guy that was projected to be, an all-time great, and now with all the stuff that's come out, he might not even make the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because I think A-Rod has had a solid career. He doesn't have those moments that greats have, like Bonds and Jeter. And the like, but he's a guy that I think if we ever see a 30 for 30, it's going to be like A-Rod didn't really live up to all of his potential.
Right, and that's just the thing right there too. So you got that.
And here's the thing: I'm not a guy that's opposed to voting a guy that did steroids in the Hall of Fame. I'm not one of those old school peers that get so offended about it. I say put him in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not to me. Okay, yeah, technically it is cheating, but there's more variables that go into being a great baseball player than juicing or using HGH or whatnot. I think there's more that goes into it. Because Barry Bonds, let's be honest, before Barry Bonds even touched that stuff, he was one of the greatest players of all time.
Yes.
So clearly he belongs in the Hall of Fame, first ballot at this. But that's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
And I don't think so either. But I do agree with you though on Rob, because I've always been one that has always said the same thing too. I look at Barry Bonds' career of when they said that he probably took it, and I think that was in '99 or 2000, one of those years. And when it was rumored that he had took it, and looking at it before that happened, Like you said, Barry Bonds was a 300 guy, and I think he was like one of the first. I think he was the first guy to reach 400 home runs and 400 stolen bases. So that guy absolutely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I can care less about if you wanna take away the years that he had in the 2000s. Fine, you can do that, but still, obviously he was not there. He was not doing all of this in the past and all that stuff. And I don't think that should take him away from making it to the Hall of Fame. I kind of still think that I a little bit think that Roger Clemens is a Hall of Famer a little bit too, even though
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah.
yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer too because before he was rumored to have done this, he was still one of the better pitchers of all time. So there's obviously some players and all that of course if you want to take them out because of that, fine, you can do that. If you want to take out Sammy Sosa because of that, fine, you can do that. But not everybody's the same way. Bonds, I think he deserves to be in. Clemens, I think he deserves to be in. Gary Sheffield, whenever he gets ready to be in, I feel like he deserves to be in. And it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next couple of years because we already know some players are going to be in and all that stuff. Like Griffey, he's going to be in, obviously, because this is probably, we presume him to be pretty much the only the cleanest one of that era, too. And so he really deserves to be in, too. So, you got that.
Right. And, it's a slippery slope. Baseball has done its best effort to clean the game up. I'm bored, but, I've never been one to, just bring the hammer down, guys. Like, this is just like Ray Lewis and this whole, this deer antler thing. I mean, the dude came back from a torn tricep in what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? I mean, I knew something wasn't right with that. It's not right. It's not natural. So I was surprised there was this scandal about him taking some, under the table supplement to come back. But they still didn't take it back the way that he's one of the greatest linebackers ever.
Exactly. I mean,
So I've never been one like Lance Armstrong. The guy had fought cancer, lost a testicle, and he's one of the best cyclists ever. But hell, I would take steroids. I would juice too.
hmm
But I'm not holding it against him. I'm not because there's still some form of talent and athletic ability to break those records, to set those records, and not just the performance enhancers.
Right.
But it's a hot topic, and it's a debate where I understand both sides. But I'm just one of the guys that feel it's more than just these supplements and enhancers that make the athlete great.
Right. And once again, and I'll just pretty much end it by saying this, and I think somebody else has said it before. Like, what would you do if you were in the same situation?
Yeah. That pressure to be great, and you got family to take care of. The money being paid, the expectations from the fans, the owners, yourself. Your teammates. This is just a situation where you won't understand unless you're put in that situation.
Exactly. So, we're going to go ahead, take ourselves another 30-second break. We're pretty much going to talk about a little bit about the NFL. We actually have ourselves some big news here. We were talking about it before in the show about Tony Romo, but we actually got some other news here about the NFL. I will talk about that after the break. Let's see. We're right back with the Gafford and Brown Show. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the NFL right now. And we actually have ourselves a big trade here that went on just an hour ago. The Raiders got themselves a new quarterback, and his name is Matt Flynn. Actually, Matt Flynn, the Seahawks traded him away at the price of 2 draft picks. It was a 5th-round draft pick in 2014 and an undisclosed conditional pick in 2015. What do you think about the move right there for the Raiders?
Well, they've done a whole bit of work because, we've seen the Raiders make a lot of bad decisions at quarterback since the departure of Rich Gannon. I hope it works for him, but we still don't know what Matt Flynn can do. This is a guy, Matt Flynn, who got paid a lot of money for one game.
Right.
Against Detroit. You know, granted, that was a game where he threw up some ridiculous numbers, but it was against Detroit secondary. And that game wasn't even a defensive game, it was a shootout.
Exactly.
So, I don't know how much credit we can give Matt Flynn. You almost have to go out to that LSU team to tell what kind of quarterback he is. If I'm Oakland, if this don't work, you don't ever want to take another LSU quarterback. I mean, you got Jamarcus Russell come, and he not pocket drinking syrup and not caring. Then you got Matt Flynn, and I don't know. I hope it works out for him. I hope the best for him. Who knows?
And I really do too, because of course we know, like you said, he got paid for that one big game that he had against Detroit. But we still, like we said, we still don't know what he could do. I mean, we assumed that this season he was going to be the quarterback of yes, it is like Rob Johnson clearance. It is like Rob Johnson. You giving him all this money, and yet for a guy that's just been a backup that had little starting experience. But we've known about that. Like, we thought that he was going to be the starter when he was with Seattle last year. Russell Wilson comes in, third-round pick, beats him out. And so now he's with Oakland. You got to really hope that this kind of works out for Oakland, because this is going to set them back another year.
If I'm Oakland, I'm not like, okay, we gonna eat this trade. This guy got beat by a third round. Now, granted, Russell Wilson isn't your ordinary third rounder, but the fact that the rookie beat him out, that wouldn't make you kind of scratch your head for doing making this move. Like, hey, we got Terrell Pryor, you know. The draft ain't looking that bad, so maybe we can take our chances with Geno Smith. You know, we already rebuilding. Why not, go ahead and try to make, some changes for the future? I don't know how old Matt Flynn is, but I don't think he's 23 or anything like that.
Oh, no. No, I'm actually going to pull up the age real quick, too. And so it really thinks about here, too. Like, you've seen how the Raiders have been over the past couple of years. As you said, they've tried these different experiments. It's failed. I mean, I remember when they had Aaron Brooks out there, that failed miserably. Jamarcus Russell, failed miserably. Carson Palmer, which I think he's still decent, but that kind of failed miserably because he didn't take them to where they was going to take them. And actually, Flynn's 27. So the upside might be there, but then again, are you just going off of upside? That's just another thing, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like with Matt Flynn, it's pretty much, it's really a rookie. To me, Matt Flynn is a rookie, to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going out one game. I mean, if that's the case, why not draft Geno Smith and say, hey, go out there and beat somebody?
Right.
Because Matt Flynn only has one game on his belt. Granted, it was a great game with a lot of big numbers. But he didn't hit the short in the shootout.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. The Oakland Raiders are kind of they're automatically in last place right now. If you look at the AFC West standings, because the Broncos are number one right now.
Yes.
There's that team in that division. Kansas City retooled. They're going to be right there. San Diego always up and down, but they still have Philip Rivers. I mean, that's not saying a lot, but he's still capable of having a big game for three. So by default, Oakland is still at the bottom of their division. So I don't think Matt Flynn necessarily sets you up for the playoffs next year or anything like that. So I don't know. More power to them. Hope it works out. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know.
And that is true, too. And you really do have to hope that it does. And speaking of, actually, to counteract here, it looks like the Raiders are thinking about sending Carson Palmer to the Arizona Cardinals. And it looks like they're finalizing an agreement. I'm looking at it right now on USA Today. It says that Palmer will sign a reworked deal with the Cardinals that would pay him $8 million this season along with incentives. We don't know what the compensation is going to be, though. But if the Cardinals can get Palmer, What do you think about that one? And do you think that's a good fit for him?
Man, Larry Fitzgerald is looking at the GM or president of Arizona like, man, this better work. This better work, man. Y'all killing me out here, man. But no, if this works, Arizona could be dangerous if this works. Carson Palmer, he's the guy that I don't think he's ever going to be the same. I think that the injury he suffered against Pittsburgh in that playoff game changes on the career.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's ever been the same. And since then, he's been so inconsistent. He can give you a solid game 1 week. He can give you 3 touchdowns, 250 yards, no picks. But just a week later, he might go for 5. He's been inconsistent so much lately. I don't know how it's going to work. They have the defense there to protect him. He has the big target, and Fitzgerald, 2-6 solid. Malcolm Floyd, he got Mendenhall behind him. I think it can work out. If it works out, Arizona's going to be a dangerous team. And if they do get Palmer, you got to make the argument that the NFC West might be the best division in football. Because you look at last year, all of those teams started off over 500. I think they were all 4-0 at one point. The Rams have so many draft picks. We already know the 49ers already positioned themselves to be the best team in the NFC just from paper. The Seahawks, the Cardinals. It's going to be interesting. Now, it just works. Now, if it blows up in their face, I don't know how long Fitzgerald's contract is, but he can get the hell out of there as soon as possible if this doesn't work.
And I have to agree on that one too, because I mean, looking at it right here, like Carson Palmer has to be a hell of a lot better than the tandem of Kevin Kolb and John Skelton. I mean, has to be a hell of a lot better. I would have hated to have been like, I do that Larry Fitzgerald, of course I know that he was going to obviously get his money. In a way, I kind of wish that he did not sign that big time contract. But I do feel bad for him because even when he did sign that, it was kind of like he knew the situation, but it was kind of upsetting right there because you don't have a viable quarterback right there that can actually give him the ball. With Carson Palmer, we know that he can give him the ball. We know Carson Palmer is actually going to be, feel a little bit better about Larry Fitzgerald too. And like we said, I feel like that if they do get him, that does make the NFC West race a whole lot better because, of course, and here comes Clarence, by the way, too. He's going to chime in, of course, I know about that because he's going to talk about the West and the South. What up, Clarence? How you doing?
How's it going? Go ahead and call in on this one for a second here. Hey Rob, how's it going, man?
What's up, Clarence?
Alright, here's my thought about this. I actually just saw this not too long ago on the ESPN thing. Obviously, if Arizona gets Carson Palmer, that obviously means right now both the NFC North and the NFC West. I mean, right now that is a loaded division on both ends. That's 18 loaded right there. No less than seven games. I mean, right now, obviously, St. Louis is ready to go. I mean, you got Seattle and San Francisco that are on top, and then you bring Arizona, who, like I said before, defensively they did well last year. It's just they couldn't overcompensate for that bad, terrible offense they had, or at least that bad, terrible quarterback play that they had. So if that happens, most certainly, I think yes. It could be a battle as to I said maybe the last 2 wild cards can come out of whichever division fights out the most. I think this could spell trouble for a lot of the guys in the East and in the South. It's tough.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's exactly what.
Oh, definitely. I gotta agree with you on that one too because. Like I said, I think it's gonna be a pretty tough one. And the West is actually going to be right now. Looking at it, I feel like it's going to be the best division in the NFL right now. It's the best division in the NFL. You look at the storylines, look at all of that. It's gonna be a good battle, and I'm gonna keep my eye on that one too. How about you?
I think the NFC is always a crapshoot. You never know who's going to come out the East. The Giants have had a good look with it. Philly got hot one year. Dallas won it once. You never know who's going to come out the East. South is usually out of New Orleans and Atlanta. Atlanta who's really strong right now. I think Atlanta's going to take over the South for maybe the next 2 years and play a good defense. But the NFC North and the NFC West, those two seem like a dogfight right now. And it seems like each team is trying to get to one of them one of it.
Well, things go the way that they should go. This might be the year the NFL could argue for an extra playoff spot because it can be tough on both ends there. It really can.
Yeah, and definitely because I just think that it's going to be tough. It's gonna be pretty tough, and it looks like right now that the NFC is actually getting old. It's starting to try to get from the shadows of the AFC now. And
remember for a long time they had that big room winning streak against them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I guess they're trying to go back to it.
They've been kicking ass in Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, the Baltimore Ravens just won, but you got those the Giants got 2, Green Bay got 1. So yeah, the AFC they've done a pretty good job of coming back. But Clarence, I want to ask you about that man Flynn deal. Would you have done it if you were Raiders, or did you think it was a real?
You said the words perfectly out of my mouth, Robert. This is a lot. You're paying them a lot for one game. One game against the Detroit Lions, and at the end of the season, remember, and this was at Lambeau. They never won there. They haven't won there probably. I'm 29. They haven't won there since 07. So majority of my life they haven't won there. So it's like, it's. Oh, I'm sorry, Robert. Go. It's like they haven't won there so long. So it's like it's. I mean, it's good for Seattle to get rid of him, but at the same time, I think you look at the situation with San Francisco and Seattle. You say that although they're high-paid backup quarterback, to say you might need them, and you better hope and pray nothing happens to your young guns, which most likely nothing should. But obviously, if it does happen, then most certainly, hey, it's going to boil down to the point where you're going to wish that you didn't get rid of them. But for Matt Flynn, I mean, for the Raiders right now, like I said, look, I know Jamarcus, LSU guy. They've been screwed since that whole deal, right? They've been screwed. And you know what they say about when you draft a quarterback number 1 like that and he fails, you put your franchise in a hole for another 5 or something.
Oh man, yes.
That whole deal itself right there is just, I don't know.
Definitely, it blew up in their face. And like you said, it just makes it. Let's just even talk about another quarterback that went number 1 all the way back in the day. I mean, remember the big debate between Peyton and Ryan Leaf? I mean, let's even say here, let's just say the Colts, hypothetically, they went ahead, they picked Ryan Leaf. That would have set that franchise back years, if they would have gone ahead and do that. But you look at San Diego, that set them back years.
Well, how ironic is it San Diego? Because now how ironic what was it, 7 years later, another Manny said, I ain't going there. And right now, they're saying again, San Diego's looking at New York and Indianapolis, or Denver now, are going, man, we had one of y'all would have just came to us. I think it'll be a different right. I mean, again, they're looking at Phillip Rivers, and as Robert said earlier, this is the time now where you're starting to look at him and you're going, hey, God, I mean, so far the bus title, he's been avoiding it. But right now it's come to the point where hey, we're starting to look at you and we're going, Ben has 2 already, Eli has 2. Hey, bro.
When's your time to win 1?
As Chris Carter said, where are you at?
Romo got paid this huge deal with all this guaranteed money. And, when we first heard about it, I said Jerry Jones Now you think about it, you gotta think to yourself, okay, Romo, we know we get with Romo, but can you name 10 quarterbacks in the NFL that are better than Romo? I mean, isn't he getting paid basically, I mean, what can you do worse than Romo? That's what I'm asking.
You get about 8 of them, man. About 8 that are better than about close. Maybe 7, well, definitely 7. I can get 8. Yeah, Romo, you know what? I think we might have to thank Joe Flacco for all this, because, man.
Oh.
$20 extra million more than what you deserve to get. You know what? Robo said, hey, what about me, Jerry? What about me?
Yep, it's the same. It's the same thing too, because looking at and if I could share my insight on this, I mean, looking at it, I can understand why they did it. They did it for cap space. They were strapped for cap space, and at least frees up some. But do I really think that he's worth $108 million and $55 million guaranteed? No, I don't think he's worth that much. I think he's worth probably. You can knock that number down some, a couple of $1 million and stuff like that. But I understand.
Jonathan McNabb agrees with me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But see, what it really makes me feel like though, it's pretty much going to see now how much is Aaron Rodgers going to make. He's going to break the bank. He's going to break the bank.
The Joe Flacco thing already is going to make him. I think Rodgers is going to. But the only problem with Aaron Rodgers is Green Bay is going to if they do that, they're going to face the same situation with that Baltimore faces. They're going to be tight, a little tight there. And right now, you already got rid of two people that you already had to let 2 people go, and Charlie Woodson and Greg Jennings. You don't want Jordy Nelson and all them coming up next. Now I believe, if I'm correct, they're free agents next year. Well, no, Jordy re-signed a deal already, so he's there. So you got some free agents coming up soon that they're gonna have to re-sign next year. You don't want to strap yourself to that, but yeah, most likely Aaron Rodgers is gonna get he's gonna the Brinks trucks are gonna go to Green Bay next. I'll tell you that.
Yep, definitely on that one. Now, let's also shift the focus a little bit about the NCAA, and I wish you would have been on the show actually, so you could talk about this. But Minnesota firing Tubby Smith. Your thoughts about that one?
Oh yeah. That was by far the. I think Norwood T, who's the AD, who came from VCU. I think he really thought he had Shaka Smart, and he thought he had him in the bag. To fire Tubby Smith, I thought 1 or 2 things had to happen. One, either he was changing philosophy, and Tubby wouldn't do it, or 2, he just fired Tubby to fire him. Now, I think if we look at Tubby's Big Ten record again, I think I came out here a couple weeks ago and said that Tubby really his Big Ten style was never really there. Even his days at Kentucky, I remember Izzo used to beat him on the regular when he was in Kentucky. So I just think that he thought he had Shaka in the bag. And Shaka right now, I mean, you look at VCU and you look at Minnesota. It's a bigger program, but VCU, one thing that VCU doesn't have that Minnesota does is a football team. And right now, VCU, they're king. They're Shaka Smart. In about 10 years, Shaka Smart will walk around that campus King Shaka, because, I mean, obviously, they have no football program. They're the basketball program. They're getting ready to move into that new Big East, I believe, as well, with Butler and all the rest of them. So, now that, that narrative changes. I think I know Charles Barkley helped donate them a couple of new facilities that they got. I know they're building new facilities there. That's something Minnesota doesn't have either. That is kind of killing Minnesota as well. That they're playing in the oldest arena in the Big Ten. They're playing. The barns were built in the early 1900s. Here we are, and they're almost 20,000. So it's almost time to get rid of that thing. And it's just for him to do that, he thought he had Shaka in the bag. He didn't, and now I think he really put Minnesota. Minnesota is outside, butt naked outside in the Big Ten, looking really crazy right about now. And, he's gonna have to get a big hire. Now, Buzz Williams is somebody that they were trying to look at. If they can get Buzz Williams, that could recover most of what you did. But if you fire Tubby Smith, you
Exactly.
It's just not going.
It wouldn't work in that one. I would just really think that if you did, that the thing is, what would be next for Minnesota? And once again, like we said, what would be next for Tubby Smith? I mean, I would just think that he probably just like he could probably take the year off, just see what other moves come into play, and next thing you know,
From what
there
I
you
was
go.
hearing, Texas Tech was talking to him. So,
Interesting,
yeah.
interesting,
So they
interesting.
got you closing in on Texas Tech job there.
And that probably wouldn't give him too much pressure right there because you know the basketball program like that is fairly decent there, but he doesn't have to worry about you know he could just build up that program, and I think the Big 12. I mean, he could do some work, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think Texas Tech wouldn't be too much further. I think sometimes they contend with the NIT, so you know.
Now another thing, and that I just thought about this too, and I wish I would have thought about this a little bit earlier about you two from you two guys. Steve Alford now going to UCLA.
He voted too, man. That was. I didn't think a current coach would leave at the position to go there. I thought it would have to be a coach that contract was up or that just got fired. But wow, Alford, big shoes still there.
Well, I would just have to hope that he does something after ruining my bracket. I mean, come on. I would just have to hope that he does something. Because, I mean, man, it's just. The one thing I think they got themselves a very decent coach because you seen how he has been how he's been when he was with New Mexico. Um, he had some pretty good years and stuff, and he had a pretty good year when he was with Iowa. I remember that time, but the bad thing was tournament time. He doesn't really do too well.
And that's what's going to hurt him.
And that's what's gonna hurt him, and that's especially what's gonna hurt him at UCLA because they expect championships. I mean, too many first round exits that is not gonna bode well for them.
Like Steve Lamb, that didn't work out for him when he first took over. When he first took over a while back, it didn't work out. So, but yeah, that was big. I know they're trying to court Brad Stevens. I remember I never thought Brad Stevens would leave. That was a waste of time.
Right. I was just, and you know what? And it's just amazing just to see so many of these smaller coaches like Stevens and Shaka, and I think some other guy that escapes my mind
Brad
right now.
Hoiberg.
Who?
Brad Hoiberg.
Him, and I think there's another guy though. There was another guy that really escaped my mind here. A Pastner of Memphis. John Pastner of Memphis. Yeah, yeah. And to see them stay at their places and stuff like that, it just shows to me right there that I guess maybe they just content with being at their schools, huh?
Well, I guess the thing that it's almost like being you have so much power in these smaller programs that you get a big contract. You're the man there, and going to a school like UCLA, there's so much pressure there. You got you see Wooden and just all the legacy and all that, but these small programs, you're starting your own legacy. You got to control your own fate there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's more so of the mindset they have.
That's probably it too.
Well, yeah, I think I call it the market view approach of things. Remember back when Gonzaga was about 10 years ago when Gonzaga was a hot ticket and everyone wanted Mark Few. I want to say remember right before Arizona got Sean Miller to come out there. I remember they put a full court press for him to come to Arizona, and he wouldn't leave Gonzaga. And I mean he committed himself there, and I think a lot of these young coaches are taking that approach. I mean it goes to show now that a lot of these smaller schools are putting, are getting more money, putting more into. I mean, they'll never be the big shot schools like these, power conferences are, but they're small enough now where a lot of these recruits are saying, you know what, Gonzaga's on ESPN enough, VCU and Butler, yeah, they're on. And another thing, I'm glad both of them are going to the Big East because I love to see Shaka and Brad Stevens both at it. I think that's the next big rivalry as far as two coaches in this sport here, and I love to see that as well. But you got a lot of these younger schools now that are on TV now that are we'll show you. So it's like it's not a big surprise anymore.
Oh.
A lot of these recruits are saying, "Hey, I'll go with you guys." And now they don't. They really don't have a reason to leave these small schools now.
Oh, definitely. I think that run that they had in 2011, especially with Butler and VCU, it's just again, it just really got me to like those two coaches. I like their style of play and all that. I mean, these are two young coaches and stuff too, and to see what they're doing for their programs and stuff. I wish that at least, like you said, with them possibly trying to be in a new conference, I hope they can do this every single year. I mean, really, like schedule something, do something, please.
They both joined the Atlantic 10 this year. So that was one of the reasons why they wanted to do this. And now I think they're both going to jump over to the new Big East they have going on. So that'd be big as well if both of them do that as well. So, yeah.
Right. So I hope that's going to be the case as well. Looks like also for you two guys here, it looks like Kentucky's actually retooling again, once again, like what Calipari always does.
Oh yeah, I think that is System is, he knows these guys will they commit, and he knows he's gonna get a top 5 recruiting class the year after. So it's just how his pipeline works.
Well, I think I said it a couple shows ago here. I said, could this possibly be a Kentucky team who missed the tournament altogether and come into preseason bowl being the number 1 ranked team in the preseason bowl? It's kind of weird. I mean, they got 5 McDonald's All-Americans coming in, so they got a whole new lineup coming in. And then, I mean, me personally, I think Nolan's is coming back. Now you have him coming back, and now all of a sudden you're back to a Kentucky team like you had last year and like the one you had a few years before, where they're loaded and they can really challenge that 40-0 mark if they want to again. I think they fell short of it last year when they did lose. Well, thanks to Indiana, they fell short of that last year, and this year, they may want to try to go undefeated in the season again. So.
Yeah. Oh, so true. Oh, so true. Now, also, but I want to get your thoughts about the Final Four. What do you think of it?
Well, as I said, I gave you the message earlier while I was driving.
Oh man.
Screw my bracket. But, anyway, no. Obviously, here's the ironic thing that you guys. I don't think no one thought about this. I just thought about it maybe late last night. Syracuse and Louisville for the national championship game.
Okay.
Now there's big significance in this. That's not my pick yet. I'll tell you my pick yet after this. But there's significance in this storyline. Big East is gone, and this is the last national championship between two Big East teams. Syracuse and Louisville, two Big East teams battling out one last time for a national championship. Yeah, I'm sure some of the college officials would probably kick themselves for that one, but that could possibly happen. I think again, Michigan is the lone Big Ten team, and remember, I think a few weeks ago we had the show a few weeks ago that you guys had me on here, and I said then I think Michigan was dead in the water. I thought, and right now they're the lone survivors. So thanks to Ohio State to screw up again, which now brings me to the Wichita State thing. I mean, do you know what? They flew under the radar the whole time. I think, the Florida Gulf Coast got all their credit. LaSalle got some, here and there. They really fell under the radar. And I think now, a team who doesn't turn the ball over that much, I think, from what I've heard, I've watched a few of their games, they don't turn the ball over. And I mean, they took it to Ohio. They took it to Ohio State. So, but I don't think they'll beat Louisville. I think Louisville will ultimately prevail. I think they'll prevail in that. I think Syracuse and Michigan, if Trey Burke does what he did against Kansas, that Michigan will win. Period.
Yeah.
If he can line it up like he did against Kansas, Michigan will win.
Michigan versus Kansas game is in the
Oh, say that again, Rob.
I said that Michigan versus Kansas game was the best game of the tournament to me. You agree?
Yes, I think that was the best game. I think that was actually I almost turned the TV off and left, and then when I came back, I started seeing him cutting into the league, and I sat down. Next thing you know, I mean, Burke shot that shot from from Waco, and it went in. Next thing you know, next thing you know, they was going into overtime. I think that it was the best game in the tournament so far. I thought maybe before, if I had to rate a game before that, it would have probably been the Marquette. Who was it? Marquette and what's Marquette and the Davidson game. I would have said that.
Yeah, Davidson. That was a good game. Yeah.
But yeah, this is probably one of the best games we've seen in a while. I mean, probably this is probably one. If I had to rate best games this college season, that's probably one of the better ones. Again, Michigan, and I think it's weird that wasn't that the first time they've ever met in the tournament or anything like that. Some weird thing like that. I don't know if that. I'm not sure. It might not be, but that was weird. I think you have to look at it. Bill Self had to look at himself again and goes, "Oh God, here goes another #1 seed collapse that I've had." But what do you guys think about that last play? Like the last play in that game, I think that was highly talked about.
I wish I saw it.
But I tell you what,
I wish I saw it.
You see it, then we can talk about it. Cause the last play was kind of just it was highly controversial what happened there. I mean, you don't know if they were going for the win or should he went for the tie, but it was highly controversial. You kind of thought maybe Kansas could have forced a double overtime in that situation.
So.
But like I said, that's hands down the best game of the tournament, unless we get another great game in the national semifinal or the national championship game.
Right, likewise, and like I said, we also were mentioning about the Kevin Ware injury. Man, that was gruesome.
Again, I said on Twitter yesterday. I didn't see that live. Thank God I didn't. I heard everybody kept talking about it. Then there was a YouTube video that popped up somewhere in my timeline. I looked at it and oh boy, yeah, that was by far the worst injury I've ever seen on any level on basketball. Period. I want to cross over to maybe football too. I mean, yeah, I mean. I think the Livingston. They said that the Livingston injury, at least his bone stayed in his skin. This one just,
Yeah.
man.
It looks.
And they showed, and they had still pictures of it too. Now,
oh.
God, that is, yeah. Actually, but they do have a picture. I did see on Sports Center earlier that he did have his emergency surgery. He actually was standing. He took a picture standing up. So Patino said he'll be released from the hospital either tonight or tomorrow, and they'll go back to Louisville, and then he'll definitely go to Atlanta with the team because he was born in Atlanta, so he'll go back home. He won't be playing at home when he wanted it to, but he'll be
Right.
back home.
So that's another thing too, and like I said, I felt like that was kind of not too good right there, and it was kind of sad just to see that one happen, like all of that, and yeah, I saw that still picture, and it was just tough to really look at and to really bear and all that stuff, and like you kind of just don't want to see that ever again.
Yeah, I mean, I cringed when I saw the Lattimore injury, and I was like, oh my God, that was, I mean, well, you know what, maybe, but this one, like I said, for Lattimore, I actually thought Lattimore's leg came through his skin, but it didn't, but, that injury itself, but, you do wish that both will be fine, and yeah, like I said, it's going to take him at least a year to come back. I'm sure most likely, I think he's a sophomore, so. But he's definitely going to be out next year. He's going to get the red shirt. I'm sure the injury red shirt there, and he'll come back and hopefully things work out well from there.
I hope so too. And just another thing too, as we
with all the players?
Okay, he's back right now. Let's see here. We have to try to get this whole thing back. But
Technology. Yes,
But,
you back, Clarence?
yeah.
All right, good. So yeah, you said that this was the biggest upset right there though too. You said this was the biggest upset in both of the tournament games, the
With
Louisville Baylor
Baylor,
game.
yes, I think so. I mean, because you got to go into the season. I mean, right now, if you look at both tournaments, you would say Baylor clearly was the most dominant team in the tournament. I think you had Notre Dame and you had UConn, but Baylor probably was they were the odds-on favorite to win it all. I think in the men's tournament you may have said Louisville they could, but you had Indiana, you had other, so you didn't really have a bona fide number one spot. So for them to lose and the way they lost, now remember the score isn't indicative of how that game went.
Mm-hmm.
Those ladies, I mean, I think at one point in that game they shot like 70% field.
Right.
They were just getting to it, and it got to the point where it got ugly. Now they came back and actually took a lead. Now there was a big controversial issue there with that game, and I think the big issue was the fact that there was an offensive charge that was called about 5 seconds after it happened, and I think Kim Mulkey highly disagreed with it. Of course, we wrote their
I'm actually gonna get.
post-game press conference yesterday. She highly disappointed with it, and I think that turned the game around as well. So actually, that was a scoring play that there was points because of that. But still, I mean, obviously, for Baylor to be the way they were, that was, to me, the biggest upset.
Right. I've actually got somebody else that's actually going to talk a little bit about the women's game. It's my friend Mark Ebarb. He's actually a teacher of Dutchtown High School, and it actually is a pretty good, interesting person that knows about the women's game. How you doing today, Mark?
I'm doing well. How y'all doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I am doing all right. Now, what are your thoughts about that upset?
Well, it's one of those games where Kim Mulkey said in a quote that she thought they were going to stop hitting the threes, and they just never stopped. I think the long ball really kept, obviously, Louisville in the game, but you got to take the hat off to their coach, who had a great defensive plan to pretty much box in Griner the whole game, and to keep her pointless or scoreless for that whole first half is pretty impressive no matter what.
Mark, do you think they got a little physical with Brittany Griner in that game? Because I saw there was trash talking going back and forth. I think at one point one of the players from Louisville knocked her down, and they really went after her physically. Do you think that may have helped as well?
I think it helped a little bit, but you gotta, the big players, they tend to let kind of get bounced around. I think one of the big problems with Baylor this year, and it's a culture problem that's happened in this past year with Kim Mulkey, is in general, Griner and company have gone on this tear the past year. It's been a complete distinct lack of humility. UConn went on a 90-game win streak 2 years ago, and Baylor makes them look like Mother Teresa in terms of humility right now. And I think that Griner, when she said in her quote that it would take the Miami Heat to beat Baylor, well, it took the Louisville Cardinal women to do it. And pride has just gotten kind of, Griner tweeting during halftimes. It's just crazy. It's crazy. I think that Kim Mulkey, it's a very cocky attitude down there right now. And I heard y'all saying earlier, you think the game is missing out on not having Kim Mulkey and gang in there, but they've got some great teams still left in the tournament. And I mean,
Yes, they do. I think, but obviously, I think with Baylor in there, it would have helped out. How ironic it was the last team that they lost to were the Cardinals. So that's kind of ironic too. I kind of chuckled at that as well.
Right, they began it in the street just like that.
Now, here's the other thing about this too for you guys, and I think me and Rob actually mentioned it was before too about this, but we said about we still have a interesting thing right here between that. Which we still have some star power in this one. This is Skylar Diggins.
Skylar Diggins has just been phenomenal this entire year, and I think one of the things that even Baylor had compared themselves to, if you think back, Pat Summitt described the same exact scenario back about the '99 team. There was this team that come at that squad fearless, ready to play. The Lady Balls didn't know how to respond. And then you had Baylor on the same token right here, just not really knowing what to do. Skylar Diggins, who Kim Mulkey has not conceded is probably the best, maybe the best point guard in the country right now. Kim Mulkey still maintains it, of course. Baylor's got the best. But I think Skylar Diggins is probably, I don't want to call her underrated because anyone who watches her says she's the star on the court. But for the most part, I think that she brings a consistency to the team. She keeps Muffin McGraw level-headed when they have a game plan execution on out-of-bounds plays. She's smart. She rebounds well. She does more than she needs to do as far as scoring is concerned. She does the little things. And I think a lot of people, that's what's underrated, the little techniques that she probably wasn't coached. It's kind of natural instinct to get to the ball.
Yeah, I feel you on that one too.
Do you think now that she can win a national? Do you think now this is her golden shot to win a national championship? Now that Baylor is out of her hair and out of her way now. Well, that's the only thing that eludes her, right?
I think so. I have Notre Dame winning in my bracket, but it's going to be really fun to see. It's fun because you've got Tennessee, you've got Duke, you've got North Carolina, you've got all these staple teams up there right now. You've got Kentucky and Georgia, which I'm just glad there's a little bit of SEC representation. But right now, Notre Dame is going to be the team to beat. And the difficult part, I think, is going to be whether or not Gino Auriemma can come up with a game plan to get to the Final Four, get his team to the national championship game. I would love to see, I think I heard Lamar say you wanted to see a Tennessee-UConn matchup.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be fun to see. Tennessee's a young team, and no one's expecting them to get that far, and here they are in the Elite Eight already. But I think it's Notre Dame's to win at this point. I don't see any other team in the country right now defensively clamping down. But then again, no one saw Louisville's defensive scheme working either, so who knows?
So, yeah, we got that. And looking at the bracket right now, I think we got, let's see, Louisville playing against Tennessee. Georgia and Cal, am I right there? Yeah. Kentucky against UConn. And then you also got Notre Dame against, who's that other team that I'm trying to think of? Who's the other team?
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame against, trying to think of who's that other team that I'm trying to think of here. It escaped my mind actually, but yeah, we got a pretty interesting Final Four with that one.
Yeah, and I think that the way I'm going to call it now is I think UConn's going to get past Kentucky. I would love to see Georgia upset Cal, and I'm going to go ahead and call that upset because I really didn't think that anybody would upset the Stanford, especially in that region. So I want to see Georgia upset Cal. That'd be really fun to watch. And I think Notre Dame and Duke, I think that's what you were trying to think of.
Yes, thank you.
Notre Dame and Duke, I mean, both of those teams have 60-plus wins combined. I mean, they're so much star power, but I think Notre Dame's going to take that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Louisville's going to continue his little streak here. I know there's potential for a letdown here, but I don't see Holly Warlick's team getting past this team that's on fire right now. Tennessee is suspect to droughts. They live and die by the runs. And yesterday they went up by 20-something points early, and they didn't let it go. But all Louisville lived and died by the three yesterday. So who knows?
I'm about to say, because normally when you shoot a ball like that so well in one game, you're destined to have the next game. Hopefully they don't live and die by it this time, or I would think that Tennessee could sneak past them. But Louisville, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think that whole bracket opened up that whole side of the bracket opened up when they lost. Kind of like in the men's side when Ohio State dropped it. I think that whole thing just opened up for any team to sneak in there, like Wichita State. So yeah, I think Georgia. I agree with you. I think Georgia will make it.
Pretty interesting to watch that Ohio State team just kind of ticking time bomb. Looked like 2 games in a row needing the last second shot to win on the men's side there. But no surprise to me that they lost. But the men's Final Four, I know that's a whole different story. That's parity at its finest right there. I mean, you got. I heard you say all the expected. You had your Cinderella team. You said earlier you got your number 1 seed in there still, and you've got a few potential upsets, which kind of played out. But back on the women's side at least, one thing that I think has been the most glaring issue for me is some of the officiating, and I cannot stand when people cry foul on, well, I'll be fine here, fouls, because one of the biggest things, what people don't understand, that LSU-Cal game, obviously I'm partial to LSU, but LSU went to the line 13 times. Cal went over 40. That's an NCAA record. And it's something like that. There's got to be some sort of issue. I watched the end of that Baylor game, and Kim Mulkey almost taking her jacket off, throwing it places because
well, Mark, I almost threw my jacket too. I wouldn't care. That was a tear. I mean, if you're gonna call it, you gotta call it. I mean, she fell to the ground and then she put up, and I mean, took points off the board. Now, I mean, in a one-point game like this, yeah, she went ballistic basically during the press conference.
Right.
I understand.
Right, she was so mad she wanted to be fined. Actually, she wanted to get that fine.
I think she said something about if these refs make it past this round, it's an insult to the game or something like that. It's tough. It's tough to watch a ref decide a game, but truth be told, the refs didn't decide that game for Baylor. Baylor just let it slip away.
Yeah.
I've just been noticing a trend of officiating being very inconsistent, and I don't know if that's a matter of just you don't want to stereotype or anything, but you watch two woman, one man crew or a 2-man, 1-woman crew kind of deal, and some of these people, I think I've heard a lot of arguments saying women need to rep the women's game because they're used to the pace, but I don't think that matters at all, to be honest. I think that's a dumb mentality. It's whoever has the best mechanics and can do the job, but there needs to definitely be some sort of addressing of the issues for sure, because a lot of looking for fouls, and I can't stand that.
Here's another thing I really wanted to also say too, is I really can't wait for the WNBA draft actually, to be honest with you, because you have Griner, but you also have Diggins, and you also have Elena Deladon too, because I really feel like those three are going to be the ones that could have the opportunity to take the WNBA to maybe some new heights. Who knows?
Yeah, you really thought you saw Griner and Deladon finishing almost at the top of all-time best scorers, but you're for sure going to see there's a couple people. I know you have down there the Penn State girl, Alex Bentley. She'll probably make her way somewhere in the first round. You've also got Tiana Hawkins from Maryland. Maryland kind of an overperforming team this particular year, but then you got stuff like Destiny Williams, even from Baylor. She's kind of projected to go there in the second round. So a lot of these top teams are going to send obviously the right amount of people there, but one person that they're not talking about is that 6'1" forward there, Markel Walker from UCLA. She's got a great game, and I was looking at a mock draft the other day. She's projected to go 4th or 5th overall in the draft, and UCLA kind of overlooked this year because of their, I guess, lower performance to Cal, not being able to shine as much in that conference. But I mean, it's going to be fun to watch Griner, Diggins, and Deladon for sure in that draft.
Oh yes. I mean, we already know who's pretty much going to go number one. It's just going to be that case of if you are a WNBA GM, would you take Diggins at 2 or would you take Deladon at 2? I pretty much would consider myself taking Diggins because point guard, floor general. Not a diss to Deladon, but, that's just it.
Who has number 2 pick in the draft again? Was it Phoenix and
Chicago's got the 2 seed.
Chicago's got the 2.
Yeah, so I know right now Phoenix is one, I think, Griner, but again, she'll revolutionize the game, I think, in the context that the same for Deladon. When Deladon gets on that WNBA team, she's going to be surrounded by people who play the game just as well, and so not all the attention is going to be on her. I think she won't have to fight through double, triple teaming. She won't have to fight through 2 or 3 screens to get to a spot on the court. I think, if anything, Deladon's play will improve the absolute most because she'll have a surrounding tandem there that can help her get open, and she won't have to work as hard to get open on the court. And I really see for her to be more successful, to be honest, than Griner. Griner's tall, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Griner's got some footwork, but I would say most of Griner's success rate has come from her dominance on the height chart, to be honest.
Do you think that'll continue in the WNBA?
They look at the WNBA. There really isn't that much height in the WNBA either. I mean, she's freakishly tall, and that's really, I hate to use that word, but height does. You can feed inside. You can go over people's heads. I mean, I think that she'll be productive, but she's got a lot of coaching to be done to her because some of her footwork is off. So she wants to go to the goal so many times, and she can dunk, sure, but all those open shots, all those uncontested under the basket things, she'll have people there in her face, and she's just going to have to work on being a little bit more, I guess, she kind of has that Sylvia Fowles mentality. She needs to go a little bit harder, because Sylvia was so timid and shy around that basket. So I think that Della Don's your best overall player, to be honest, and Griner's going to have a lot more. She's going to have to be broken of a lot more tendencies, I think.
You can always come to my links if she wants to.
You got Simone, huh?
Yeah. We need more talent to come back so we can get our championship that was taken from us from Indiana last year.
But yes, and so like I said, it's going to be a pretty interesting thing. And who did you have in your Final Four? I just wanted to know about that one, Mark. Who do you have? And I'm in your men's Final Four.
Oh, my men's Final Four.
Yes.
Are people actually still talking about the men's bracket? Is that something that's happening?
Well, I know my bracket is dead.
Yeah, my bracket rested in peace long time ago. But as far as Final Four went, I know that did I hear, who was it that said he had Indiana in the Final Four? Was that
that might have been Rob, actually, I think.
I think that was Rob, yeah. I did have Louisville in my Final Four, and I was thinking Duke would get past Syracuse. I did project that, but Louisville's my only one there, and I thought that, perhaps Duke would be there too. But I don't know, looking at Syracuse, Michigan, out of those four, Lamar, who do you have making it to the championship game?
Of course, Louisville, because I had them winning the whole thing. But I think it's going to be probably Michigan. Michigan beats Syracuse. I don't know why. I just think Michigan has that. They've been battle tested from the Big Ten, so I just think that this there's on actually. So.
Well, Lamar, you know how much of a historian I am. 20 years ago, 20 years ago around this time, there was a big game that happened with the Michigan team that went to a national championship. Obviously, Chris Webber isn't playing anymore. This could be great poetic justice for them to go and win. Go and win the national championship.
Yeah, I'm pulling for Syracuse in this game, mainly because Jim Boeheim. I think he's just been around long enough. He's going to know how to scout this team right. He's going to know stops to pull out for this. I just really expect him. I know what's his 20 years. This is Michigan's first Final Four in 20 years. That's the first one. Yeah.
Yes.
I really see Boeheim making a little bit of magic happening because I know in your last 10, as far as they're concerned, when you're looking at Boeheim's defense so far, I mean, what they give up, 30 something? What was the last game score? They gave up not many points.
I think 39 actually.
Something like that. I mean, that's ridiculously low for an Elite Eight game. So I look for them to kind of slow down the pace, and I'm hoping Syracuse makes it. But I think that either one's going to bring an awesome fan base to the thing. I know the Shockers are. Look, the Shockers don't care who wins the thing. They're just hoping to God they can put a little ripple in the water because the Shockers are crazy. I'm following these people on Facebook, and they're believing. They have every right to believe too. I mean, they're fun enough to watch too.
Well, let me ask you this, Mark and Lamar. Out of the, I guess we'll go with Jordan Mason that did it 6 years ago, and we'll go with the Shockers now. Which one do you think have a well? We obviously know Jordan Mason ran up against a pretty great Florida team and then White. And so do you think that this team, the Shockers, do you think they have an actual pretty good chance at going in there and hoisting that trophy at the end, or is this pretty much the final draw to their season here?
They have a shot. If it just depends on how can they do in the pressure. How can they do against Louisville? Because To me, I just really think that Louisville is the best team that's out of this four, and they're really proving themselves from getting that #1 overall seed. So if they have a decent shot, really. Do I think they'll win? Nah, but they have a shot.
I have a shot of getting blown out, I should say. At least a shot of not getting blown out.
Yeah, I think they can keep it clean. If you told me that Wichita State and Louisville were playing in the championship game, I'd say, hey, Louisville's got the edge, but you never know. I mean, you never know in one game. But for them to win two, I don't see it happening. They'll fall somewhere. I don't see it's Patino's team because that man, I was listening to him yesterday give his talk. I mean, he sounds like a Kennedy up there. He's got that breath. Enough to put the fear on somebody. I think the shot.
Well, he looks like it sometimes in those piano. Mom beer or anything like that. But actually, I was hearing through some of the tea leaves of some of the whole sports group that I be on. And actually, one last thing I wanted to compare here. Don't compare this Louisville team to being the one like Latino had in '96. That nature. The '96 Kentucky team and this Louisville team. They said they compared the two here. I don't know if I see it, but you know.
Yeah, I'll chime in on this. I was reading an article on this. Patino actually said, he wants Louisville to play like that old Kentucky team. And, he's being kind of careful not to compare the two, but he was talking about that 34-2, right? That team from, my God, they had the national championship. They had 7 first-round picks, I think.
Yeah, I think they're much deeper.
Yeah, I would say they're much deeper. I mean, they sent 7 people first round. They won a national championship. You got to consider that was at a powerhouse program. Louisville is not a weak program by any means, but I would say Louisville's early wins this year, Providence, Seton Hall, South Florida, none of those were that impressive. They've been pretty thorough, though. I think that they play Connecticut. I think they play Connecticut, Syracuse, and Georgetown this year. But I just think that if you're up 30 at the halftime, you're supposed to win these kind of games, and that's a lot of what Kentucky did back in the day. So I would say the old team, the old team is much better than this team.
Defensively, I would say yes. As far as anything else, no.
Yeah, I have to agree on that one. But yep. Well, thank you very much for your insight, by the way, too, because I knew that you were chomping at the bit and wanting to get on the show, too, Mark.
Oh, yeah, you need women's basketball stuff. Come on now.
I already know you. I already know, man. I already know.
I didn't stalk Pokey Chapman for 4 years for nothing.
Hey, wow. Well, you're a lucky man.
Pokey, I think Pokey had her eyes out, just out of fear when I went to that PMAC back in the day. But
Yeah, you still have that shirt, don't you?
I do have that shirt. I still have that "Marry Me, Pokey" sign. Pokey. Somebody was asking me about her the other day. I said, look, they all went off to Russia and started coaching. So what are you gonna do once you lose them over there? But
hey, she's still with the Sky, isn't she? Isn't she?
I think she is. Yeah.
She put the WNBA team now.
Yeah. She was a little MIA for a while, but she's back, so it's not so bad.
Glad she is.
That's right.
Yeah, man, you're lucky. You were able to cover her. Wow.
I'm lucky because Nikki Caldwell, she's that woman puts on a fashion show at every game down here at LSU. That's the one thing people keep talking about when they see her on the sideline. She's fun though. She brings a lot of energy to the game. I know I was watching that Georgia Stanford game the other day with a group of people who aren't too into women's basketball. All they kept saying was, "Oh, Andy Landers looks like an old pervert." And I said, "Well, just because it's this old white man coaching all these children doesn't make him a pervert." But he looked. I love that man. I love his intensity. I love. That was a debate I had with some people. I'm kind of curious what y'all think about men coaching women's teams and vice versa. What do you think? Think a woman?
When my father coached AAU basketball, coaching my sister's AAU team. She's 15 this year, so she'll be coaching that this summer. So yeah, I'm all for it.
You think a woman could coach a men's team, a major men's program? I'm sorry, I know it's happening, but
I would love to see it actually happen one of these days. To be honest with you, I would love to see it. If there was one person.
But
So it is possible that it could happen actually.
yeah, I would love to. I definitely love to see that. That's something that I would truly love to see there. But
Hmm.
yeah, it would have to be collegiately though. I think I always thought that I guess while she was coaching that no yeah, while she was coaching that she that Pat Summit would do it, but
Hmm.
it never materialized like that.
Yeah, it's likewise too because I thought that she could have had a chance to try to do that actually, and yeah. So there you go.
See it one day, I guess, one way or another.
Well, all right. Well, that pretty much is going to conclude our show today. If you didn't hear Rob for the last bit, he had to take care of some business. So
Oh, he
I,
did leave. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I can quite, we can really understand that. But we had me and Clarence basically holding it down for the rest of it as well. Thank you, Mark, also for showing up too, for giving us a little bit of insight. I know, like I said, he was chomping at the bit about it. So there you go. And we're pretty much going to end the show right here. So I'm Lamar Gafford.
And I guess for Robert Brown, I'm Clarence.
And we'll be right back on.
See you guys around sometime.
Yes. Will you be on? Will you be available on Wednesday, Clarence?
I should be, yeah. I think Wednesday, yeah, I should be.
Please try to call in because I know me and Rob gonna have the show then. We will again, like you said, once again, you're welcome anytime just to, jump on in, give us your insights. We've always enjoyed, the conversations with you as well.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Lamar. Talk to you around.
All right, no problem. And so this is gonna conclude the show, episode 21 on Wednesday, and we hope that we can get ourselves an even bigger and better show. Thank you very much to the fans as well. See you later. Have a nice day.